Hey y'all, it's Steve, Hobo with Wood, and this video is a follow-up to a previous design with a new complementary design. It's going to be showing how I lay it out in Lightburn, how I get the most out of my wood, and the assembly process. I'll have some good music, and it should be at least entertaining to watch for some of you. Hope you stick around. Alright, so a few days ago I released the Amazing Grace cross, and I showed how I set that up on the laser and cut it out. There were a few things that I kind of glazed over and thought it was pretty simple, but people have been asking questions about it. So I'm going to cover those in the new design that complements this. And this is Amazing Grace, and this one is my first rough prototype, but I've redesigned the prototype so that it complements this in every way as far as size and dimensions go. But instead of the words Amazing Grace, it's the complete first stanza, and it would be the same size as this and have all of the same accent pieces, but be the complete stanza for Amazing Grace, and it'll go well and complement each other. So let's jump in here to Lightburn and take a look at how this file will be when you download it from hobowithwood.com. So let's jump into Lightburn, and this is what you get from the website. I have a large background with a smaller cross that will sit on top of that. Then this is just a toolpath that you can use if you want to do resizing the crosses, but knowing that this is probably about as small as you want to be. But then this is the actual cross for the lyrics that was set on top of the second layer, making it a 3-layer piece. But actually, this is an optional set of offsets right here, that and how, and those are offsets that can be glued to the back of this piece. So you would glue this to the word how, like that, and then because of the way the letters are so small and the way it broke it up, like right here, it's hardly attached at all, the T and the C. These offsets were not connected as one singular offset, but you'd glue that up like that. Saved a wretch like, or saved that part of saved wretch like me, you glue it up there, and I didn't center it, but and then this one you glue up here, and was blind glues on the bottom down here. Now, the purpose for doing that is so that it actually will elevate that text above the surface of that second layer. And some people don't care for it. I really like it. It creates another dimension to that material. I cut the two backboards out of a thicker 4.5mm plywood, and the accent pieces are cut out of the same 4.5mm plywood, but then the text is cut out of 2.5 or 3mm plywood. So is the offset. And now that offset that gets glued to the back of this, on the Amazing Grace, it is actually large enough that it has a complete offset that gets glued to the back piece of it, the back profile. But because the letters and the words and the stanza are so small, I wasn't able to get a really good, sturdy, complete offset. But I wanted enough of it so that when you glue it to the backboard, there's enough support that the wood doesn't want to begin to bow or twist, over time. But by gluing that offset on there, you get this top piece elevated off of it, and it doesn't show up that well on camera, but by having that offset and it's recessed in behind the letters, it creates a little bit of a shadow and the illusion of the letters floating off the face of the cross. So that's the reason for the offset. I didn't explain that very well in the video for the Amazing Grace or how they were glued up, so that's why that was what this was about real quick. But now let's go into the this laying it out on the laser. So switch back over here to Lightburn, and let's get those back into place. We'll just undo everything. Okay. Now, first thing I do is I will cut out my big cross, and this is just me whenever I've got a design and I'm going to take stuff and start going to the workbed with it. I actually will select it, Control D, duplicate it, and then move it over to my workbed. Let's go over to camera control. Let's see here, show update. There we go. And I've pre-cut my material, so this is just big enough for this cross. And I'm going to go ahead and put in here my accent pieces. So I'm going to use, let's see here, all of these. And I've got two different designs here. This one's got this little inner point, and then these do not. There's enough room in the design to put these on the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, the 8 outermost corners of the cross. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And these inner corners, I go with these here. You may not want to use these, and you may want to use only these. That's why I've got plenty of them laid out here. But I'm going to go with this one because that's what I've got in my first Amazing Grace cross. And I'm going to set those right there. Oh, you know what? I didn't want to do that. I want to duplicate it. Control D, duplicate that, and then bring my duplicates over here. And then that's 8 of them. Now I need 4 corners for the inside here. So I'm going to grab 4 of these, duplicate that, bring those over here, rotate them, put those there. So there gives me my 12 accent corners. I'm going to go ahead now. These are pieces that I'm going to glue together that I will use to help me place the corners in position and keep everything nice and uniform. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate those, bring those down here, rotate them, and put them in position where I can cut them out. Going to generate a little bit of waste here, but hey, we're using as much of this as we can. Alright. Now that'll take care of the backboard, my top accent pieces, and my assembly pieces. Oh, and where is my... I don't have my hanger. I'm supposed to have my keyhole hanger on here, and somehow that got deleted, so we're going to make one real quick. And the way I make my keyhole hanger is I will just draw a rectangle, and let's do 20 millimeters in height, and we'll give that just a round number of 50 millimeters. Alright, and now I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to reduce this one by 10 millimeters. And now I've got that small piece, which will be glued directly on the back of the cross, and then this larger piece will get the keyhole slot in it. So let's make another rectangle. And now let's make a circle. let's see here. I'm gonna line it to the top. And actually, you know what? I'm just gonna get my crosshairs and just drag the crosshairs to there. That's where I want it. And I'm going to weld those together. And now I will go into node editing. I'm going to come right here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start over here. And I'm going to hit the letter M as in middle. And it's going to put a node in the very center over here in the middle. Middle. And I'll just keep it in middle till I got right there. And then I'll hit the middle of this one. Do it twice here. M, M. And again here. M. And again, I'll come over here now and go 1, 2, 3. And then here. And 1, 2. And here. Now I'm going to hold my shift button and select every other node. And don't like that positioning, so we're going to get rid of this one. We're going to say hover over it and hit the letter D, and now I'll get every other node. Yeah, I like that better. Now that I've got those done, I'm just going to, I've got my arrow set to 1 millimeter, so I'm going to go up 1, 2 millimeters. And there is my keyhole slot. Now, just for giggles, how large is this opening for a nail head? If I come right here and hold shift and scroll down to the bottom, that's 4.5 millimeters. That should be a large enough hole to get a nail head in there, because you shouldn't be using more than about a finishing nail anyway. So, okay, done. And now we're going to take this, and it needs to be down here and centered. So I'm going to, but I'm going to do, temporarily I'm going to move this to the bottom of this piece. And now center the keyhole in the center of that. And that positions that right where I need it. And now this will be glued to the top of that. So that's up top. There's my keyhole, put my hangers on, my nail in. So there we go. So now I just need to group these two pieces. And you know what? I bet you, yep, I can. I'm going to rotate this piece. I'm going to bring these three pieces down. Go ahead and put that up here in position. Oh, should have got all three of them. There we go. And make room for the other one. Rotate it. Bring it down here. Is that going to fit? Ain't going to fit quite like that, but I can rotate it and make it fit. That'll work. That'll work. Alright, so now, in fact, I need to undo this rotation, because I need to put this back over here. I need to make a duplicate. Rotate it. Make a duplicate of this. Rotate it. And now when I go to save the file in a few minutes, I'll have the hanger in there, so you guys aren't having to go and design one for yourself. And that actually is upside down. There we go. Okay, that's done. So now I've got my accents, my very backboard, this, and the hangers, and my assembly tools. Oh, and now I got to rotate that. Go. Alright, so that is ready to cut out. And that'll take care of all of that, that. So now I've just got to cut out my second layer and the cross and the offsets. The cross and the offsets are going to be done in the smaller 2.5 to 3 millimeter wood. This will be done in another piece of this 4.5 millimeter birch. And then I'll stain the second layer to give a real dark walnut stain to it to give it the contrast. Put my triple thick glaze on it and glue it up and assemble it. So let's just check my framing on this and make sure that everything's going to fit with where I have everything positioned. So frame. Oh, got to select it. I use my cut selected shapes. So let's select it all. Now frame it. And you know what? I got to stop. Laser control, stop. I was helping somebody and I wasn't set up in absolute coordinates. Console, move, laser. Here we go. Absolute coordinates. Go to home. And actually, there's a new feature in Lightburn 1.5. You do Control H, and it's going to send that laser to home. Control H. All right, there we go. It's at home. I am using absolute coordinates. Now we should be able to frame. There we go. Nope. What's going on? Oh, I've got my rotary enabled. I was helping somebody and I forgot everything that I was doing. So disable the rotary. I'm going to stop it, send it back to home. Control H. See guys, I make mistakes all the time. Control H. She's at home. Go back to laser. The rotary is not enabled. It is in absolute coordinates. Now hit frame. And that's looking good. I've got my frame speed slowed down so I can make sure that when I'm working with smaller pieces, I'm able to make sure everything's lined properly. But I do feel good about this. All right, now let's see here. Switch back to Lightburn. I'm going to check my layers and check my settings. Cut. We're going to do there, and we're going to assign. All right. All right, we should be golden. Let's send it. Laser. Start. Oh, I have that messed up. Well, I think we're in the right place now. Okay, so I showed you how I laid all that out on the wood and try to maximize my wood, use as little as possible, nesting stuff in, thinking ahead on the laser. Well, this is the cheap birch plywood from Lowe's, and I ended up having to cut out some more than what I had originally laid out because of bad places in the wood, burning through, or just junk wood. And now I'm going to, let's see here, let's go to camera. And you can see here now, actually let me switch so you can see here now. Switch, auto. Alright, so now you can see the overhead camera on the laser where those were intended use there and here, but I ended up having to use just a little bit more down here because of those bad pieces that didn't cut out. Well, here is some really good wood that's left right here. And instead of taking this whole thing off and throwing that in my skeleton pile, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to update my overlay. So now you can see, and since I used duplications, all of my other stuff's over here, I can now just select everything and delete that, clean it up. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut, while I've got it on the laser bed, I'm just going to draw a line from here to here, and I'll just break that down there to be fine. But I'm going to select this and send it to the laser. It's a job, laser, start. Now once that cuts, I can take and pick my piece up off the laser bed. I've got this, and I can just take and snap that clean. So now that's good material. I've got all the goodie out of that. That's pretty much just all junk now. But that was one good piece, and now instead of having a clutter of all that junk laying around, I've got my meat off there. I can get rid of the trash. Alright, let's lay our next piece out. Okay, so that took care of a large part of that whole design. Let's jump over to Lightburn and see what we've got left here. Let's see, get that down and switch. Alright, so what I've got left to do, we've already done the backboard, all the corners, the tools, the hanger. So we need this one, the text. Now this one and these are going to be out of the thinner wood. So this is the only thing I need right now. I'm going to duplicate it and put it on my workbed. And that's all I got to do. So now we'll send that one to the laser. Start. And once we get that done, we'll get the text cut out, and hopefully we can get that all nested on one piece of 300 by 300 material. That'll be interesting to see if I can get that out of one piece. If not, I will get the cross out of one piece, as much as I can out of it, and then I've got enough in my skeleton piles that I can just pick up some scrap wood and cut these out of to use for the spacers on the back of the cross. Okay, so I've got all of my accent pieces cut, both the bottom cross and the top cross, solid crosses. Now it's time to cut out the lyrics. And this is going to be done out of the 2.5 to 3 millimeter Baltic Birch. Along with the offset pieces, I've reworked those and got these down now to where they are the same dimensions as the Amazing Grace. so that if they were done as a pair, they're going to be uniform. So let's jump back over here to Lightburn and get this onto the workbed and see if we can't get all this on one piece of 300 by 300 material. So let's update our workbed. Let's get the laser out of the way. Move you up yonder. Alright, now update overlay. That's good. Now, I just need to get this cross, Control D, duplicate it, and I'm going to bring it down here to my workbed. And now I've got how. That offset will go at the top. That'll be the glue point. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do how, Grace, and how. And I'll show you how I did this offset. There's always more than one way to do things in Lightburn. I say that all the time. But this being already created and already welded, this is no longer a text down here. This is a path. Oh, come on now. There we go. Arial. And all caps. Grace. Aw. Come on. Get down here and start typing. Alright. I had a horizontal space of -15. And now I'm going to put this Grace on top of the other Grace. Putting that right in the corner of that E. Let's make that bold. There we go. And put that back in the corner. So now it's a little bit tall, so I'm just going to shrink it down until the top of that E matches that red E. About there. And now it's way long, so I'm going to just come over here and shrink it in until she matches up. There we go. And that's close enough for what we're doing right here. And I'm going to do how again. So I'll type out how. Put it over here in place. Shrink it down. Shrink it out. This will actually stretch it out a little bit. And now it needs to come up a little bit. And let's get her into place. And just a little bit more. Alright, now I'm going to take that, hold my shift key, select Grace, bring them both over here. Let's weld those together. Now, why did I not have those welded? Undo. Yeah, they show welded, but they're not welded. That's odd. Let's try that how one more time. Let's move that back into position. There we go. And I don't know why that didn't come out right, but we're going to fix it right now. Huh. Well, there's more than one way to skin a cat. We'll convert it to a text, or a path rather. Edit, convert to a path. And now let's weld these. And weld these. And now group all of that back together. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to group it, dummy. There we go. Now let's slide that back into position. And then we'll grab both that and Grace. And now slide that over here out of the way and weld that. There we go. Now that those are welded, I'm going to do an inward offset of a 0.7 millimeter and delete the original object. And that will be my piece for the top piece. Those are kind of fragile right there, but that's okay. It's got a good strong bottom. That's still going to work. I like that. Let's put that on the red layer. There we go. So that's going to be my glue point up top. I'm going to get rid of this one. So I'll that, and then this will be the left side. That'll go there for glue up. That'll be the bottom glue up, and this will be the right side glue up. Go over there. Okay. In fact, let's do this. We'll put all this right here like that. And we'll do that. Yep. Alright. Just going to check and make sure that everything's good. I haven't checked my camera calibration after the last update. I just want to make sure that this is all going to be on the wood. So, frame it. And that's going to work. Alright, so I've got my settings correct. I've got everything ready. All I got to do now is send the job. Laser. Start. It's doing the black layer first, which is just the lines in between the letters. You want to make sure that that black layer is in line mode, and of course your red layer will be in line mode. No fill modes for this design. Once it does those black lines, it'll go in and cut everything out, and we'll be in business. So I've got everything cut out. I'm not going to bother showing you the finishing process. I took a cloth and some stain and wiped it on the wood, and it stained the wood. Difficult procedure, but I was able to handle it. After I stained what is the second layer, leaving the bottom layer in a natural finish, used the Rust-Oleum triple thick glaze to get a really nice, good, glossy shine on it. And I've got everything over on the work table. Let's see here, swap it around. And now I've just got to start gluing stuff up. So this is going to go on top of here. And our goal is to recreate that. So that'll go there. That'll go there. And then put our accent pieces around, and we've got our tools, our alignment tools, to set up all the accent pieces. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this up first, and then I will glue up my accent pieces and then place my cross. Get out my really fancy glue brush here. Now I'm going to start putting my accent pieces on. And let's see, I want to do these on the corners. And I need another bottle of glue. Okay, now these are set up for the inside corners, and this one is set up for the outside corners. So I can place that right on top of there. What's the deal, Pickle? Sitting there, we go. is going down too low. Now with that in position, I can just slide that right down there and drop her in place. Oh, there goes on the inner corner. I'm about to mess up, not paying attention. That one's going to go here. Once I get these all in place, I'm actually going to use my clamps to clamp on top of those and hold everything together for a few minutes. Let everything tack up. So I'll let that tack up for a few minutes, then take my clamps off, put the Amazing Grace on there, and it'll be a finished product. So we'll give that a minute and we'll be right back. All right, that's good and tacky. The glue's not completely dry yet. This is the Elmer school glue, and it will dry perfectly clear. Not there yet, but it's far enough along that I've got the clamps off. Now we're going to go put Amazing Grace on there. Let's clean up some of this squeeze out here a little bit. There we go. All right, now I have glued the risers, the spacers, to the back of the primary piece. So now he's got to put a couple little dabs here and there to hold this in place. Okay. Now that was the prototype, and it's just too big. It looks nice enough by itself, but it didn't look right with this one. So that's why I reworked it, and now this Amazing Grace is the same overall size and dimensions of this Amazing Grace. And those, they were cut from two different pieces of wood, so you've got a slight color variation from the backing and this backing. So if you were going to do this yourself, you'd want to set it up, of course, and have to twist it just a little bit in the clamps. Cutting it all out of the same wood. But hey, that's set now. Fast runner will never see that, and wherever it goes, I won't be able to see it from my house. Alright, so that's going to have to finish tacking up and drying up, and all that glue will disappear, and those will be two really nice finished product. Guys, thanks for hanging around. This file is on hobowithwood.com. I'll have each file there separately, but then I'm going to do a combination of the two with a slightly discounted price if you buy the two-pack. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for hanging around, and I will see you in the next video. I'm Steve, Hobo with Wood, and I'm out.